Yana ke Tache cho enivi Kagish Kezogeri Yeguye Dahotan. The process of sweat ceremony is pretty much along the same line with all the other natives of this land. The only ones that I know that actually really don't use the sweat ceremony is the Pueblos. Just those that are part of the powwow arena use the sweat lodge. But the idea behind it is purification. The natural and it has changed a lot since I was a little boy up to now, the process. And pretty much a lot of it's acceptable throughout the, not only Navajo land, but other tribes. But the process is still the same, purification. And in our ways of doing things as the net, is that it's used to initiate a young man into manhood. The idea is behind the story of the twin warriors. And they asked for weapons. And so their father put them through tests. And they became warriors. So that's the whole idea about Navajo when we use the process to initiate a young man into manhood. And there's a lot of information about that. And we have our own set of sweat lodge songs, real beautiful songs, all protection songs. So I wanted to add that a little bit to you all. And there's very few that are using it across the Navajo Nation. We mostly have the kinanta for the girls, and that's pretty much used a lot. But the process for the boys, it's not really being done. And so I'm thinking that's why a lot of our young men are behind in getting to being an adult. So I just wanted to add that, and the process of the sweat ceremony is very much needed. And it is up to us as elders and as parents, grandparents, to make sure that that keeps going on. And it's a real beautiful process, and I'm supposed to be at one right now at my brother's place, but his fire is probably blown out too. So, just a few of us we got together and we talked a little bit about outside. In the actual making of the sweat, we were going to do that, but my nephew had some problems with his vehicle, so he ended up not coming at all. So I just want to apologize for that, but eventually, my vision is that one day we're going to have a place somewhere that we can actually build a fire and use the sweat lodge. Because my elders were telling me, why do you want to cut the willows and then build the lodge and not even use it at all? So maybe that's why my cousin, my nephew didn't make it over here, and then the wind blowing and all that. So those are natural messages that I get But I really appreciate being able to talk with some people that have questions about it. And eventually, probably a lot of questions are concerning the ceremony itself. We can talk about those later, and I have my contacts are through Native Family Voices, Navajo Family Voices, and also Indian Country Grassroots. And this morning, I don't know if I said my name. My name's Ray Deal. Yeah.
I didn't get all the question in terms of the clarification. I think the question has to do with the familial union and the land use related matters. Because
the thing with the discussion that was supposed to have been done with James Ranch is that they had a tricky situation. They were going to pregnant their man. It's almost like a reservation where everything is fragmented. But they decided to have the family turn into a holding. And then the family members themselves lease from the family to keep it all together as one unit. Now, is that a model for next steps? And what other models do people envision for next steps? So it did seem to work for them, and they were thinking of generational legacies. So everybody on stage was actually, well, except for you guys, was actually at James Ranch. And Sam definitely has something to say about next steps that she wasn't able to get to this morning. So that's what we're going to be doing.
okay, Koloya, the National Kibiki, Kolola Ghana, the Colorado, the Rainbow Jet, Archibald Anto, Oyen Skip. Deep the Ghana and Liniki, Consortium Kega. I believe it was 126 acres, somewhere around there. 400 acres. Okoko, Okwake, Atlanta, Liniki, the head of the rancher, there's about 5 siblings. You see, Yanahas come. They control the whole land. Aron the Yado, they have kids and grandkids. Okoko is something similar to the Litson. Okoko Oyoko Enano. They have their own little, within that 400 acres, one individual may have a mount dairy, and then alfalfa. So there's different people that have different business that they run. The question that is raised is that whether that is something that an nation should be looking at as a model. The problem that I see is that maybe it will work for some family, particularly those areas where there's no dispute over grazing permits. If you put it over on Navajo partition land, where we're from, it's not going to work because there's no permit. You cancel it out of that. There's still, there was a subject of the meeting yesterday with the resources committee. The family out there in Tzilichin made some statement. Because, well, I don't want to get into that one. The main point here is that whether those businesses can be a model. And my point is that maybe in some areas it would work, in other areas it will not work. The way it will work within our area is that the land that we have, like in my case it would be Chishe, they would have a safe over those land use area. I don't let the not. Called but they would have to work together to come up with a plan and a business plan and a model like that. But it's further away. The only area that I can see where there's a similar non-profit, Ghana. Have you heard of the Net Cooperative Incorporated in Chile? They have a master lease over that land. Bashes, Wells Fargo, Burger King, Post Office, in master lease. I own the subsidiary than them. Non-profit board of directors, a non-profit, but these entities, Taco Bell and those guys, a subsidiary, those are for profit. That's kind of like the way it's arranged over there. That's the way I look at it. So, in some cases, it will be model. In other cases, I think it'll be a lot of work to work on it and come out to that model. We'll pass it on to.
So does anyone have a question? I guess we forgot that part, about the discussion part. So just like he said, what we're talking about is this ranch that we went and visited in Colorado. And how they kept it all together is by sectioning it out and breaking it apart into businesses where each one leases from the main family altogether. And as a way of keeping the whole entire system together. But just like Roman said, it would, I kind of have the same feelings that he does, that the main problem would be the grazing permit. Not to talk bad about grazing permits, but if you think about a grazing permit, what does it have on the top of that grazing permit? It only has one person's name on there, right? That's probably the main cause that causes so many problems in families, is because it's only one person on the thing. If you could have multiple people or a new system where people have to share and work together to maintain that permit, that would be a separate situation altogether. But it's just that idea of, well, even then before, we as Navajo people, we all used to use our livestock and graze and everything, right? There wasn't one person on the paperwork that was able to justify everything or say, this is the only person that's allowed. We all had to work together, just like we talked about before in that last presentation. It's about how you work with the land and how you keep it in balance and you work together to make that a possibility. So if you're thinking about a grazing permit, that's something that's fairly new, meaning it came in the 1868, a little bit after that, and it's only given to the head household, as in it's the first male person in that household. Us as families, who is the main person that makes decisions and holds the house together? Yes, it's our mothers, it's our grandmothers that are going to do that. So even that big change caused so much problems and divisions with people that you can see that document and the scar it's had so far on all of us as people. So it's about managing what you have, but also recognizing the changes that need to be made in order for everyone to be successful. And that's to have respect for everybody, and have respect for everybody's animals, and have respect for everybody's land, just like we used to before. So that's my thoughts.
Is this working? Okay. So I think building off of that a little bit, a great way to kind of put all those thoughts to paper is through what I mentioned before, which is the integrated resource management plan. So these ideas of how to better manage the different resources throughout preservation, everything can be captured in this basically like massive holistic management plan. And one of the great benefits of implementing an IRMP is that you are able to waive some federal regulations. So after if you were to implement an IRMP, you can also establish an agricultural resource management plan and be able to waive, with implementation of that, be able to waive some federal regulations around agricultural leases and land management. Same thing with forest lands. And yeah, so that's kind of something I forgot to mention this morning that I wanted to make sure got mentioned, but I think it's, as far as next steps would go, would be just deciding if pursuing an IRMP is something that you want to do, and then from there forming a team to start taking public feedback.
I have a question for the honorable group board. Has there been any kinds of attempts to address like programs? There's so many backlogs of cases, programs so far, you get permits. Someone passed their numbers on it, and no will was made, and so people are trying to get the permits so that they can continue to use the land. And a lot of land has gone fallow in Shiprock. I think, I might not really remember, but I think 22,000 acres. It has gone fallow from upper Peru and all the way down to past that. And that's a lot of land that is just there. There's flyovers by people looking at our land saying, we're not using the water. Why should we take and argue for their water when they're not even using it? That's one of their arguments. And so I'm asking, has anything been done to address that program issue?
是朗空，哪里说去？为自己，而可多，是的朗空，把也出去。我到你是 case， 阿空，但是安尼。No, sa chuli akon. Kuya hazeki binachel. There has a honey naski probate no. Is hiding that. Don't heat either. Probate no. The Katian dancing. Ilagana atidila tit hosle ngito nation edian tatnes clean attention kariya ilagana ila tit akayachon shogoto a chon lini a chain lini gahatenanfo kaya chodos enani ego amal sospiji khande ya mescholo khashpado sosatno quite as any Akon by Yaki. Akon. 80 Yonan the next one is the case. The never better, only the never not kin. This is harm, never. At is only, yeah, probate. At is our fat and never should carve on source. No, we don't know, nice, Kitan, me, nice dog. But I did Kibiki. Binina television domiki iliade. Domikin hina kin. Echadeliade. Edate. Akon. Distingue. Binina yo. Asaholom keyat keyachon in. Akon. Hashikar so eba yeki at ispan si kistole. Hashikaba hatitse. Dit aye nihikeya min. Dit aye chotel. Nde naste. Na tinsle tina khaden hitsu. Nihinale Kait Ahalana Nixon. Dick at night, Kitty, us, as a couch of Adore Ad. Sati, Dotare Hozhò, Denil. Dobitnil, Nani, Nasupota, Ning. Nasupolya, Edar Taylor, with all others. A con. So the Langobaya teaching them. Because Annie, no Yechi. Ado Asa Contentito. Tane Yanigi na Ahaki, Kaya Chegos Ini. Benabanes Haki Esha Ero Tago Begin the Ne Nahani in Laha Yenan Hines Khan Esha Hasha Aid Nahaban Zah Kestomi Did the Kata Il Kit. Night Kit. Eganinanta. Doe Asa Jim or Jote Ed. Hal Nakitneza Tino Anache. Lagana lay a top name. There's Annie Vice on Yen his scissor. He not Edo lay. He Alga Inna. No. Pe nzake ziki yengitsiz koholziz. Atit aapot Nihisa. Kait akwa ekipa eitze. Ega kata ilikit nihedi. Ndafiti ilikit. Akon. Nihito Ahato se ego kata iliki. Nde kon china pa yeliki. Envision the future. The novel gonna catch it. Nde ad nihinala bizo ke. Ad shkati palana litzen. Evan so kissed by Yachti. Apena Bahasti, the Indian king. Nihisbazen. Hashin Sabo, Nihisbazen. Akon. Patayo, Nation hit Nena. The Arona can Lenbes, Ye Kiosha. Higher, David and Nature, in none of the last line, begin the man, the last line, he hit on knee, deed vessel zingo, he hit on knee. A con. Nihita ogo, nanihi kan. The carrot, any carrot, any akwe ahat zihe. Bayat ki Adot asit o patat Aj'an zi. Lene netre aden. Khaytan his as an arrow. A something ever yet or Hatiti's name. The vision. The Adam in Bazan or Eliyago. Korotit Abba it or this. So they need only. I'll compare as an army, not so big as so hard at it. Knowledge Hala Sats of the Zanko over Eder. Comprobate without me. Aro Nakis Kanda Gashin. Esahilingi energy policy will yarn us these the best ones on the president lineage of the Age not enso yino at isne. Nihiga ene ka. Nihimana stan. Sata beso pe dos ne kata akir akavat od pipeline. In the Yeshua Indole, uranium in the Yeshua Indole, basically thought it is John. So that's it. No, actually, who comes it is a Kodan, which then none of those Nihinan is say that the best ones by yet over skip. To put air. Khaled ala peso eha nidoli. Iye ni mat en ni khat ni ed. Nleden an hit nes khan to sa ned. A cheniyal tan nasn kina. A cheniyal. Tide a belief, I don't want in no. A what avance is the case of the Lagana that's an old one, as can be carver, yet Shiprock. Those were basic instructions to us how to live, how to treat all of the blessings that we were given. Instructions, Ado o sa buko o beos ioko. Yat Nihit o ne. Esin ahat ne. Toyat ne ki. Upon the climate change. All consequences. Come penability. Do be careful there's money than living. Benina with us. Now, concerning pendan, I mean, his own force. Sending out die Apensen Richtung die Freunde in Raschen, die no, upon. Not so strange, Zerahautsand, Bia Aid. Also, Joftra, diverse Army Dano, de Jariki. So, but you can never climate change only for all agents and those don't need it. Climate change isn't even mentioned in the energy policy. At them, all best of those needs are geared on it. These are examples of what it is we need to talk about. It's not easy, it's difficult, because we have suffered under these laws for 200 years or more. The indoctrination has occurred. Treating the Navajo family, the familial unit, as the basis for governance, no. A chum na apa tahio ish named him ina arokeya kides that family in government as Bonetta Evice Cut any up is okay as great as land use. And that all Ebe Laman street needed. Arha Kierolis, Arha Hard Odolis, Nasko Ne, Danosha. The Penna Kay, Koshbosle, deep armies of arms. So that we hear the culture we cannot. Don't hold me, don't Hasno Sen, don't get that nigger. O RDC, Lana's clean, Narrow Council, Lana's clean, Attack Zaro, international. Nahawan so kiss. Ship says thinking. It climate change will change it. As tweet signing. Bazanoya yaki yakone zin. Ashka beings ho Ashkot erudit. Das easy dorsche Jonne. As Aronas kinder. Neil Sonda the cup. Hatto, Otago, Nike, Kai, at home, now I say. Adi, Childo de Tina, Home, Kaya, Liva, Dadi, each lampo by a just eat upon aid, there's people. So the deep me, the deep me. Being Christ, being arms, either Father, the Indian, the Tati, not on the Dini, Pao, Nesabo, Dini, not a single sin, Pao, Hoshian, no, in the old people in the Avilo, us, need it all, need them. Adonai-ish. It's the Yego. It is up. Yego Zaban Zakis. Oye, Queba Yeti, Yonzabo, there has state age. Here.
Thank you. I heard this morning our government needs so maybe we need appropriated form of government to begin with. There was a department in Winter, what's so-called Navajo Government Development. They are supposed to find us the right form of government. Ishini Washington, Nahai is Navajo Government Development. No, Adia, Natcha. Ada. Bitten Nahi Washington. Then our government was in the turmoil. Toyashkun Sabi, without chairmanship. And now, although president, in the meantime, let's go with president, don't we? But I know government development, they're going to find us a good, appropriated government for our people who don't need edit at all, as far as I know. Edit, so, and our government, so there's still but the Ghana type of a government understated. Okay, open the education so. It's also needs okay.
Corona de Kiri, Anaveda, Navajo government, a consciousness, a Amstra, Shinastayaki, Neko don't need, Widow of Zaki, Did Washington of Yale. A Jean de Nord, a something to that is what don't need. Ado, Dinachin, Asanat Ledo, Pinasapaya, or Tiki Government Development Commission, where Tabiti is even on the Shiprock. No, a Kotza. Afada Anne and the train down. A shin made on me. Acho, but the pay. Afada Tashin. We need some Adone to learn. Ashont into open out at Aho. Bankai, the sheep. Người ta hồ na tina khedon ochi ichana na chata olie den ka tehit an kita hon hiki den ka echo atayos akom Ede benadilkit, Rashid Chehel, Rashid Ned, so compli krokat nadil, Rashid Adilnik, Akom. Action Deniki Hanot, Suna Dana, the Domo was a mission. Or join night as kid. Hatish, Kodo Nigasha, than his note. It all is on. Has hit on horse nature, and made a cry. Hashad on Fahaz and the Kaya, the Nebekaya, and the Hashad Echo one day sleep to sleep. A certain shadow, Hosika door close, Hashad over and at least in the Yapia Echo, bit the house name. Eat our nice kitty long water. At istenen at die bohosne. Hey, over bit Kaya. Die in the ne, yen Vados, but Niche even Nashita eaten. The Neming Lenny Bazan of Krishnas and not honey than long, ye chip kai care, any key. In Hinsi Kaya, I wrote at 19 last year of this, at Haitashin in of this, issues got unkin and Bosney. In it's an ita. Hash, get that note. Issuing an Hashin, Postan or Mandison, yea, had nature. All time, yea, nature. In Zion, Kaya Ponte Stasno, Pas Ansh, Pahofi Ansh, Pas Chehulia. Open Chehulia, a shipway breaking permit that is so that land permit, farm permit. Eaten. Like Allah, actually, comes to needle. Did that every by age. And by a or tip or needle that he said that he would have done identity. No, Yate.
Jono, ale last. Alo ade na so ke. Alo snack ami yate. Kudo na so do ini. Alo benzabo which ni khasata. Ani ho ke jo chai water. So that all I you reach and now it is sing. And the way our nation is in the system to this whole district. It's not us radio or all the ways I will roll and go. Without the seasons. I think it's just a whole in there. Or without all these a crocodile, ancestors, kids, they would tell me just now, they all out. Sa ni just something for the whole name. According to ancestors, kids would all. Quite last week, they must have. One is one week, they trusted claim with the Utah Health. Adni Quay Hikro. Did out of the cage and out in Sindina. I did tell about this. I ate. I don't know. Open Saskatchewan. In the Tatiana, in Bears on Hadalia, our fundamental law, the bear not airless. They don't compromise. So our fundamental law was set in place for us to use and live accordingly. Out of which then we have been through a lot of changes. Our language, even the way we do things, even our belief. But everyone towards our children, they have left us. You know, they feel comfortable elsewhere. But you know, the thing is, so she kept on land. I'd say just there. My youngest boy lives in Seattle, and then one in Salt Lake, and one in Fort Worth, Texas. They don't want to come back up because they need kids. And the most frustrating part is our grazing permit. I'm originally from the Muslim Wildcat Peak. What it changed. About close to 2 years ago, we went through a probate, and then we went before the judge. We agreed on everything. Whose name should be on the grazing permit. And to this day, the Navajo Nation they haven't acknowledged it, or we haven't seen any paperwork. So we don't have a grazing permit. And the reason why I'm telling you this is just for the that's just a thing. Just that your eyes just lives. Bias Tiki. Overly, it's just one of us. Kayato, ye, Jano, Nakadayo, Tasko. I would able once as kids. A call. I might be wrong, but this is just a thought. I think as a Navajo, we take a lot of things for granted. We were taught I had a grandfather who was a kapan, who was a medicine from the Wildcat Creek. He left us. I remember he left King Nabo in 1962 when I was 9 years old. The kid sat down on his sheep. I used to herd sheep with him a lot. And I learned a lot from him. Then I had a grandmother with Chibi. She was an herbalist, as they make it in Mexico. She left us in 1972. The Hayuno and Jono and Kim, they were great teachers. I guess what I'm alluding to is, as the net, I think somewhere along the way we either need to slow down or go back to our old teachings. But that's difficult because of the changes. And would it be great if we can start talking, start teaching about our clan system? Each clan system are different. In a way, they have their own responsibility. Like the main 4 clan, they trees no one soon, just kids. Kira Ani, when I lie and put it in, has kissed the year of the husband, not kid, Hayubi. I think we can go back and teach this. And I think this is where our strength is. Hozhò, it's the Sahake speaks in that. Hozhò, it's the Abeha, and our precious life in Náhilna, we have the needs and what we need of us. Especially with our young ones, teach them. Obans, that's kids, it's going to take a lot of time, but at least we're going to stand up. Needs lead us, needs lead, or they lead a whole craving each other. Ado and the down. I'll get you found out from this. The reason I say this is I'm a traditional counselor. I work with the San Juan School District in Tajiki. I work with 4 high schools. But after halfway through the school year, they changed. They changed. They learn how to value themselves. So there's hope. Otherwise, and this is so so I want to add on this. Thank you.
I think he's absolutely right in saying what he's saying about plans and all those things, and I believe that. And I'm young, I'm not that old, and I learned a lot of things from my grandparents, from my son, situation, and doesn't have time. And I should have lunch and then but they think, oh, it's 2025. That was a long time ago. We shouldn't worry about those things. But it is really important. So when I do presentations with my daughter, and I taught her this, she used to do all the presentations, Now we do presentations together as a team sometimes. And it is really important that our kids know their clans and where they come from. That is their root, that's where they stand and their ground. If we don't teach them that, like you said, that has a lot of teaching in there, each directions that we come, each colors, each stones, each songs and each mountains. It has a lot of teachings. We do not teach our children that no more. Oh, they don't talk Navajo. Well, because we don't talk to them in Navajo. We don't teach them. And we were talking about this with my mom one time. I said, remember they used to tell stories a long time ago? Because when we were young, we heard stories in the wintertime. You know, we heard those kind of stories. We heard creation stories. People used to get together at people's houses and they used to tell stories. All of those are gone. We don't have those no more. If you want a story one day, you have to pay me for it. Those were shared stories. Those are oral stories that were shared. They're not done no more. So our kids don't know any of these things, that they're at a loss, and they're affected in many, many different ways, you know, physically, spiritually, emotionally. That's where our children are at, and that's where we are as a people. And he's absolutely right on that. I think it's really important that we do that, because when we had our very first conference, that was one of the things we started with, was cultural preservation, things that are done ceremonially, like Jai was talking about, tache, you know, we don't do that for our boys no more. And our boys are just all over the place. People just put it all over social media. Those are some of the private things that we should have kept to ourselves. But it's everywhere. Everything that we do ceremonially are all over social medias. You know, some of those things need to be kept, you know, private and only amongst our own people, our kids, and then it needs to stay there so that our children can understand that and know their ways and sing their songs. And I always say that. They probably don't know. It's okay. Take them to ceremonies, even if they sleep in there, they're immersed in it. That's the only way our kids are going to learn. If you just say, it's 2025, and they just leave it. We ain't going to get nowhere. It's just going to get worse. So we really have to work together as families, as communities, to really push for our children to see how we are going to be in 102 years. I want my great grandchildren to speak to that. I want them to go to ceremonies. This makes me emotional because I was put here that way. My ancestors did not put us here in this sacred place. We can't just give up on it. So it's really important and really emotional for some people to talk about it. Yeah, we have all these different religions and we're all colonized in our own ways, but we're the Hozhò and that. That's who we are. Just like everybody's talking about it. This is where we were. Beginning to put us here. This is our land. This is our air. This is our sunlight. These are our mountains. So we have to work together to push forward so that it will still be here in 102 years and further than that for our children. So I really, really, really hope that you guys are getting something out of this. And you go home and share it with your families, because I do the best that I can from what I was taught. And then I'm teaching my children, and my children, you know, they're getting married, they're going to have children. I'm like, no, this is where you come from. Even getting up in the morning, we used to get up in the morning, so this is another thing, so that's what we were taught, and all those teachings are practically gone. Very, very few of us practice that anymore because of colonization. But, like I said, we're the Hozhò, even that. We have to make a stand for ourselves. I'll just share that. Yeah.
Hello.
it's good to talk about all these old traditions and customs and stuff like that, but today we're living in a really bigoted, racist world. Just to put it out there, there's DI, the diversity, equity, inclusion policies that Trump's pushing, our sovereignty, our birthright citizenship. A lot of things are being questioned. I question how long the reservation federal status will even last. Wyoming, progressive states, and other senators are pushing to do away with the reservation system. It's antiquated, it's old, and it doesn't serve its purpose. And I think one of the reasons why Trump administration is pushing to push away from cutting us off from our own identity, which they tried to do through the BIA system in boarding school and erase our language, is because they don't want to honor the treaty. They said, well, that was a long time ago, 1868. And now we're in 2025, we don't need to honor it. And that's the thing, that it's a congressional thing, and our Congress and our legal system. When I talk about laws, talk about the Supreme Court justices. They're all bought off. So it's a corrupt administration. They're getting away with so many different things. They're so progressive. I'm just a simple person. But back, not to get into politics or get sidetracked, back to what we're discussing is I talked to Abram Otta before he left about the James Ranch. And, I'm not dealing with 400 acres, I'm just dealing with 1 acre. And, some of the things that I'm trying to work with is being able to establish a well. How I don't go to the windmill to go get my water, why can't I just drill a private well, like a contracted thing? And the thing is, we're dealing with different municipalities. Out in Durango, it's a different county. The thing is, James Ranch is off reservation and doesn't have to be limited or restricted like we are. So those are some of the hurdles and the next steps we have to look at. Realistically, we need to transition away from this reservation land concept and the legal status of the land, and we need to figure out how to manage the development for businesses, and we need to figure out how to do that. Because that concept is, there's nothing coming. What is the cheap production? What are we producing? In terms of economics. If we bring an RBDO in here and ask them that question, what is our chief, product that our nation produces? If we don't really produce anything, then there's no money or inflow of that economy sustainably staying here and helping us develop and grow and develop our nation. And, it's kind of ironic because in retrospect, our children, that the gentleman stated, all left to different countries, 5 different states, and they're going very well out there, but they're not wanting to come back to the reservation. But that was actually the goal of the reservation system, was only to be temporary or limited until we can be assimilated and acculturated, or we don't have to be on the reservation so we can leave. So they accomplished that. And the Trump administration is saying, well, we don't need a reservation yet, because those legacy old policies are outdated and we don't need to honor them anymore. Because people can pay taxes and they can live anywhere they want in. So why do we need a reservation? So those are some of the impending things that we're up against. And for us to give our own people in Winter Rock, our council delegates to sell out to lawyers, to sell off our sovereignty to energy companies that come in and just sign away our sovereignty like it's nothing and get paid under the table, it does no service to the people. It doesn't help us one bit. And to put red tape on us to keep us from developing the land, it doesn't help us either. Because, how hard is it for a simple family to try to get homestead lease without over 144,000 acres of land and nobody can get a homestead lease? That's crazy. It's not being developed. And it's not because people aren't putting their applications in, it's just because there's a lot of red tape around that. People don't want to, really the concept of the Community Land Use Planning Commission, CLUTC, I used to be a member of that, and part of what their initiatives was to divvy up residential zoning and have district areas where you have places that are going to be commercially developed, places that are going to be residentially developed, in NHA and various different ways that they were able to actually organize and divvy up the land. But if that's not being done, then if the land's just there, then it turns into a land grab. And when you go into the BIA office over here, they're actually wanting to buy back the land. And so that's real estate services. So it's really, I don't know, the privatization of the Indian reservation lands, that's something that I think the BIA office is looking into. So we have to figure out something for our next steps, and we need to do it fast. Because if we don't develop it, we don't start living on it, they're going to take it away from us. That's what I see it.
Who here has a grazing permit? Raise your hand. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Majority of us don't have grazing permits. June 1st was when they released us for Fort Sumner, 157 years ago. Put us under a reservation system. That was a failed system that most economists view as failed. It's a government system. It's run by the government. There's no market system. Privatization, market system. It's kind of like communism. When the government wants to control everyone, and they say, "All right, I'm going to give you to the head family. I'm going to give you a grazing permit, and you can do with it." And the United States government will control it. But I'll give you a permit, and you can raise your sheep on there. And it's not working. We need a new system, a new land use system. You can't be, and like my brother here, it's private land. They own the land. They can drill. They own the land. You can go over there. You can drill for water. You don't have to go through PIA, go through Navajo Nation, go through the federal government because they own the freaking land. We are the people of the land. My sister and her moccasins, she said she came from this land. My brother there said his little cord was put in the land. We are people of the land, but the United States, the U.S. government does not say we own the land. We do not own the land. But you know what? I say go for it to my elders when they want to bury their own relatives on their land. I say go for it, man. Some of you are going to say, oh, you can't do that. It's against regulations. This is what Chapter House says. This is what Navajo Nation says. But if we are real people of the land, we're going to bury our ancestors on the land. Because we came back and we died for this land. So, I looked on the internet, it says we have 17 million acres on this Navajo Nation. And there are 399,000 Navajos. Do some simple division, and that's 43 acres for every Navajo. Why can't I have 1 acre? And why do all these people, all those 6 people have to have 17 million acres to themselves? Your son in Seattle could have a home here. Just 1 freaking acre. Your son in Utah, your son in Fort Worth. Why are these people holding on to these grazing permits? This land use system is not working. That's my dream. I got your little survey here. What's your dreams and hopes? Every Navajo could buy at least 1 acre, put a Hozhò onto Nepakea and get rid of this BIA Navajo Nation land system. That's not working. Because we want to drill we want to put our own well right on our land. We want to bury our people there.
Hi, I'm Corinne. I moved back from Edcode 2020, and then I stayed. It's because I didn't like how my mom and my grandma were being disregarded. I live with my family in Lower Field, like close to Stone Shelter, where we have a farm and where I garden. There was this forest and more trees. And then I got my home site in Cove, Arizona. And my other 2 aunts. And because we got our home sites, that's when maybe it's ready to dispute. So I got involved in helping my grandma with a lawsuit. She's being sued by her neighbor/niece, and she was 92 years old. So I helped with that. And then I had to do a homicide investigation on my distant relatives that I've never met, because we have people just claiming things but not moving into the community. And also, homicide was abandoned for over 20 years, and it had other violations to where my grazing official signed off on the investigation. Instead of my chapter dealing with it, they sent it to Winter Rock. And Winter Rock has not dealt with it. They even told me that will come my chapter with his LGA certified is not dealing with the situation. That's one example. I've also had to do an investigation on my chapter manager, who's now our vice president, because she was bullying me and she was not giving me no services, even though I was being respectful. It was only because of the family I was associated with. So I included statements, affidavits, witnesses, and instead of my chapter president dealing with it, like they could, he sent it to Winter Rock, so where it's been with them for over a year. My home site brought many layers and exposed not just these individuals, but also my uncles and aunts. It's been very emotional. I'm single, I don't have a second income, and I make $34,000 a year. But I also realized that my chapter helps other people, but they're not helping me. I also tried getting discretionary funds to help me build a foundation, but I was in for those made up things, because that's what my chapter manager was doing, was making up and not following the bylaws, procedures. And I realized that I wasn't just my chapter, it was also my tribal offices. They know the rules, the bylaws, procedures, homesite guidelines, but they're not following them, even though it's right in front of them in black and white, because they make it personal, not professional. So I have been harassed, bullied, and right now I'm putting a restraining order on my uncle because he put 3 stakes and a lock on my gate, to my access gate, to my home site, and to my aunts. I've also had to deal with my neighbors who are not involved in my life. They were actually putting blocks across the road because I have access road. I not only have a home site, but I make sure to get access road, which has clearance. But they were putting, that's what they were doing, they were putting blocks. So I'm also dealing with microaggressions, passive aggressions, bullying. I've also been assaulted by my uncle that I've been restraining order on at the Shiprock flea market recently. The reason why I did all these things is because to report these behaviors, because I'm being victimized and targeted. My grandmother passed recently in January, and I realized that I was protecting her assets and her property for 2 aunts and 2 uncles were taking and taking from her. They weren't paying her back, and at the same time, the children were taking from her. And it shows in her homestead of how it lost its value, it lost its assets. At the same time, I have been dealing with people who are in their 50s and 60s. So this is the older generation messing with the younger generation. But they don't understand that it's the cycle of life. I just have to make them out. So what I do about it now is I go to therapy. I've had to withdraw from college, even though I have a job and all these other responsibilities. So please be involved in your chapter. Even though I got no services, I still go there. I didn't come this morning because I went to the planning meeting. But I go there now because I keep them accountable, and I don't want young people to be placed in a situation that I am in. And I'm only sharing this because I hope this does not happen to your family. Because what they did too is that they banned us from the IXS hospital to my aunts and us grandchildren, and then they didn't involve us in her funeral. So I had nothing left for my grandma. And the reason why I share this is because my Nelly passed 2 years ago, and even though they didn't get along, she still had respect for her funeral. So I'm glad I got both sides of life. My grandma wasn't just my grandma; she was my mom. I heard she was from the mountains. And she protected me because I needed it. So I've always have been bullied, always been victimized since I was a kid. But it's just escalated these past years. But I'm here to stay. I'm not going nowhere. I will continue to build up on code, even if it means doing it on my own, with no tools and a car. If I can do it, you can do it. Please don't limit yourself. These are real goals. It will take time. It's just starting it. It's like starting a garden. Start small and then build upon it. The difference between them and I is that I am living my dreams, and I'm a hard worker. I work for everything I have. I also live within my means. So I really hope that you're put in the situation that I am, because I've had to deal with my chapter manager, I've had to deal with my distant relative neighbors, and my own uncles and aunts. And it's really hard. So please be nice to each other, because we all deserve to be here. Even though I disagree with you or don't like you, you deserve to be here too. I love my family. My grandma put up with everyone because she treated everyone equally. At the same time, I do agree with leasing and having a business plan, because with the business you have to show profit. Basically what I'm saying is that families have to prove themselves, because in Lower Fremont where I live, they have fields that are not being used. Once, in the past 2 years, a field nearby, a guy came back, older gentleman, and he threw out all the trees, and then they had a dispute to where the nephew took a trailer, because you can't build a home on the farm anymore. So you put your trailer there, but yet the trees grew back. So what I'm saying is that people are just saying things, but not building upon it. And that's not fair. At the same time, we all deserve to be here. So families need to start proving that they deserve to be there. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for letting me talk.
The forgotten land known as Alamo, New Mexico. In Chindegish is Chido Kwate as Anishia. Kudaya is Donch, Dosh, another egg, take a doggy dog, take we are Tendeshi for Yagi, Daki, no human. No mother at least on although cut as I, the session I go. All the Yachishike, all the Kapuli, Natani Nezin, Anasha, Kudia, something although. Here where is the Kokaya and then Shidoni Fati and the Ashtabich. Although again, he fished not so bad for planning and organizing this get together in this event. And the Shade in Big Canyon, the Shade National Monument, this National Park Service, and I came over here by way of an email that was shared with me through the grapevines of an event that was focused on what's been talked about today. My intentions were to come over here to learn more about, what's being talked about, what's being shared, what people are dealing with, and what people are envisioning, and also to better understand what was briefly mentioned this morning with this the fundamental law. So I came here with an intention, hoping to learn more about the fundamental law and how that can actually be played into family values and how we set up our homelands. And maybe you've done that in other conferences, or maybe you've done that in other avenues or workshops. But Chisizine, I come from a family, hardworking family that lives off the land too. And we are farmers in Canyon de Chelly. I relate to everyone who's been speaking up to this point, this morning, to just a moment ago. And my family is one of those patriarchal families on my dad's side. I remember growing up, having my great-grandparents there at Sayet, and we would all be there together farming and working the land as a community. And my great-grandparents, John Henry, Roshi Henry, from them we are 6 generations now. And my great-grandparents were able to see 4 generations after them. And still, in my family, we still have huge gatherings and get-togethers. We still farm the land, we work together. Christmas was that we choose one house and there's 200 people trying to squeeze into that house. So, when it comes to farming, we go out there, whatever resources we have, 1 tractor, 3 tractors, or just shovels, and we make all the kids go out there and just get dirty and clean the dirt,
have fun. Out of the Hozhò, we come together and we make everybody be a part of it. Whether they're just there to laugh and have fun and eat, or to be a part of the ceremony. We're very family oriented over there. And I guess why I'm sharing this is I really am wholeheartedly the net, and I really believe in the net teachings. As I see today, this JK 2025 meeting, the Kana Keshe I see is what we're influenced by the outside world. And we have all these different teachings and different understandings of the world that we live in today. But I still feel wholeheartedly that we are thankful and fortunate enough to still have our language, to still have our ceremonies and our teachings that we have, that we need to focus on some of that. We as the net, we like to talk. We like to say things, but we don't like to do things. The way we learned, we were taught by learning with our hands and doing it in person. We weren't sitting like this looking at a screen to learn how to set up our homes or how to build a home or how to plant corn. You were brought up with it as a kid. And those values, those family values, that's what I think, for me, that's where we go back to. And this gentleman over here was talking about the kids and the ceremonies. I commend him for the work he's doing. That's the same work that I do. And then to listen to some of our folks here today to say, that's what we used to do and how we used to do things. And they were not doing those things. I'm that person that's saying we're still doing it. I'm a young person too. I'm 36 years old. And I just barely had my first son. I'm finally a father now, have a family. I kind of started a little bit later in my adult life to do this, but it gave me a lot of time to be able to work the land and to know who I am and to speak my language, and along the way, learn how to farm, learn how to pray, learn how to sing. And now with my job, I've been able to teach. And this is all I do is teach to all the younger folks. Even if they don't understand or they don't know what I'm talking about, I make sure that they at least leave with one good thing from that moment. And we've been having a lot of meetings at Canyon de Chelly about the land itself, how it used to be like, what it used to be like, how can we go back? Climate change has challenged us. Erosion, drought, it challenges and hinders the way that we want to live. Water is the biggest issue. Without water, we can't do anything. How do we get the water back? How do we get the water to flow again? My family in Canyon de Chelly always looks back and blames and talks about how the water used to flow all year round before they put up the dams, Saley and Wheatfield Lake. But how can we move forward today with what we have, with the education that our kids are getting, but also never forgetting who we come from? And this, the net fundamental laws by Yitzhak, I don't think it's something you can put out there and show people, tell people about. You have to show them, take them to the ceremonies, sit them down, give them a tool and show them how to work with it. How do you set up your home, your homestead? What is your hogan called? Touch his shop. That's what I do too. I've done like maybe 4 dozen voice changing ceremonies. We do touch every week in Chinle. So we're not gone from it, we still do it. Just a lot of us who are doing it, we don't come to these places. A lot of us who are doing it, we're still very private. And it just takes time to actually go out and to meet those people. So I just wanted to just express myself a little bit. I know we're coming towards the end of time, but for the sessions, but I just want to say thank you to everybody who's coming in here, especially showing an interest. And like the gentleman over here, I encourage you to bring the kids over. They don't have to be sitting here, but bring the kids and have them be a part of these events. There's a lot of stuff outside the kids could be doing and learning hands-on while you guys are talking about things in here. That's the only way that we're going to be able to carry on our values and our traditions. We can be like some of those other indigenous cultures around the world who are excelling, who are speaking their language and doing things that the way they've been doing it for thousands of years and been able to adapt into modern times. We can be like them, but we just have to show our kids how to do it and help them to find that connection with current times. Yeah, good. Yeah.
I really appreciate everyone's input, questions, comments, concerns, because again, this is intergenerational. It's all about getting together and how can we work, how can we speak. And we all heard the saying of Hozhò, you take care of yourself, you love yourself, you respect yourself, but most importantly, you respect one another, you love one another, you talk to one another correctly. Yes, there's times where you have disagreements and you don't are on the right page or the same page, but nonetheless you voice your concerns. Where I come from, they always tell me, you have eyes, you observe your surroundings, you look around, you have ears, you listen to what people are saying, you listen to what's on the radio, what's on TV, what's going on around you. You have a heart and you have feelings, you have a brain that thinks, you have a nose that smells, and you put all of your senses together and comes out of your mouth. How you feel, what you see, and everything about you comes out like that. As Náhilna, and then our foundation is kept. Where we come from family, we come from family. And even through that line, we're all related somehow, some way. We intertwine within ourselves. And with all the people that are up here, my mentors, my colleagues, and Chief Justice over here, they have each taught me something. And even within my community, I have served as ambassadors, as a royalty, and learning how to speak on things that people don't want to speak about. And most importantly, when it comes to culture and language preservation, so I understand it and I speak it, but I'm still practicing every day. And I encourage my generation, it's okay not to speak Navajo, but what is not okay is not to try. My mom up here, she expressed earlier what it means to her. Oof, can't get emotional. But through those emotions, I'm the net. No matter where I go in this world, and I have traveled across the world, I have traveled to Australia, I have traveled to China, I have crisscrossed the United States, and I'm just a Chichi girl from the four corners. I really say that to these young people too, because that's where I'm from, that's who I am. No matter where I go in this world, I'm the net. I'm Ariana Rosen Young, I'm from Bika Ashi, I'm from Cove, because that's my foundation. And through those foundations, I'm able to stand strong. I'm able to stand with a loud voice, because that's what my grandparents did. That's what my great, all the way to my ancestors did. And nonetheless, yes, it's 2025, but just because we're in a time of change doesn't mean we can't always rely on what has already occurred. There are teachings back there that we don't understand, that our youth don't understand. And I really implemented that. Hey, sure. You have to really think about it. It's just like in school where, oh, I want the answer, give me the answer. I don't want to do the work. No, you have to do the work in order to get that understanding. I just can't give it to you and you're going to say, oh, okay, yes, I know. No. Even in ceremony, sometimes you have people that have, our traditional practitioners tell us they cannot be translated in English. No matter how hard we try, it just can't be translated. You have to use your brain to think about these things. Your brain is your biggest tool. My Che used to say, Shiaja, you have this tool belt that you wear, and on that tool belt you put things in. That tool belt helps you throughout life, and you don't stick to one thing. You have a whole bunch of different things on your belt that you have to help not only yourself, your family, but your community, and to go forth with Navajo Nation. Because yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm just a teacher girl from four corners, but nonetheless, I use my voice. I use my teachings because I want to have kids one day. I just recently got married, so I'm going up in my life cycle. You have birth, first life, you have kinasta, and then you have marriage, then you have old age. We make our way through this life cycle. Yes, there are highs, there are lows. Sometimes you kind of get off track and everything, but nonetheless, the net brings you back to that team. that corn pollen road. And through that, you always have to keep a positive mind. You remain open-minded. And yes, there are families that do have conflict. You do have rifts, but you still have to learn how to work together no matter what happens. I know because I've seen it with my Masanes and my Chase. There's been times where they got into big arguments. There was restraining orders, 100 yards, you can't come 100 yards within my house. But now, that was about 15 years ago. And to see how far they come, now they come together and I now Chase house, they talk about these things because it has to be done in order to move forward. You can't always go back and forth. You have to keep moving no matter what happens. Even for us generations, yes, we're sometimes like, oh God, I don't know if I can do it. But we try, we put ourselves out there, like Tyler, like Jared, like all of the LGO people, they're interns because they want to improve in different ways. I, like myself from Northern Agency, want to improve in the way that I can. But I also need the help from the community. We work together. That's how we do things. We teach one another. We learn together. My Nakitadashi, he was older than me, but he always used to sit us down and say, Shia, just because I'm older than you doesn't mean I can't learn from you. And same thing, just because you're younger than me doesn't mean I can't learn from you. And I always kept that close to me because it shows that teaching can come from all different ages and different sizes. Even as when they're small, but they're very smart. My mom always told me, you talk to kids as young adults in training because they're going to grow. You're not going to stay 5, 6, 16, 17, 20, 25, 30. You're not going to stay 50. You're going to grow up. You're going to be a mom. You're going to be a dad. You're going to be an uncle. You're going to be all of these things and more. And I think that's what we forgot as the Nen people, even when it comes to the government. We speak so high about title, role, and council delegate and chapter president. We forget that we were somebody's baby at one point. We forget we're a mom. We forget we're a dad. We forget that we're grandparents. But nonetheless, each and every one of you came here today to help improve your families, to help improve the Ikea. Because it's all about envisioning, yes, some of us may not be here to see it when it happens, but we're ready for the future generations. Again, 102 years, that's 7 generations that can happen. And so much can happen, and I have a vision that our people will continue to thrive, both on and off the reservation, whether it be spiritually, mentally, emotionally, work and education. We're all going to thrive somehow, some way, but it's in the way we put in our mind, the way we envision it, the way we see it. Because if we just continue to push negative and talk negative, it's not going to happen. You have to keep an open heart. You have to keep an open mind. Just like the land, look at how open it is. We're not in town where we're crammed and we're trying to breathe and we feel so suffocated. I live in town, yes, and sometimes I get so sick of town that I have to go back to my Masane's house just to, as me and my mom say, to recharge our superpowers, because that's who I am. So understanding who you are and where you come from is the focal point of having a great familiar unit. You know your clans, you know your grandparents, and from then on you can keep going. So in my introduction, I mentioned all the way to my 2 times great grandparents. My Nala and my Nala-san, my Nala-hastin, Masan and Niche, because those are my pillars. Then it goes to my grandparents. And I lost 3 of 4 grandparents within a few years of each other. I lost Niche to COVID, and I lost my Nali shortly after. And because of how close the Yol is in our family, I lost my Nala-san 8 months later after my Nala-hastin. So now I just have my Masan, which you guys met, and she came up here and she presented. So understanding that those values that they instill in us when we're small, when we're young, you have to really think about it and you use those teachings to navigate through life. You don't just plop right there and you cry and you get mad. You have to get up and think about things. You think about it the right way. And in order to do that, you have to understand who you are and where you come from as Nahukana and Dene. So I commend each and every one of you for coming out and coming to our conference. This is our 3rd conference, and we hope to keep going on with this conference because it's good not only for us, but for the community to get involved.
It's just like a snowball effect. You tell one person, the next person's gonna tell another person, and another, and another, and another. Like I said, we have people from all over Navajo Nation, and as well as Utah, New York, Oklahoma, that all came here in our little corner of the world. And it's right. The internet put us right here. They didn't put us in China. They didn't put us in Washington. They put us right here. And so we also need to figure out, why did they put us here? We're here around protection. We have 6 sacred mountains to protect us, to hold us, to ground us. Now we have to go back and look at all of those in tradition, in a white man's thing. You go back to those files and you look at them. Same things with songs and prayers. You go back and you look at them and you revitalize them, and you're like, oh, sure, that's what they mean. Because I get like that sometimes. I'm like, sure, yeah, that's what that meant drinking of that. Okay, I get it. And you learn things. Just because you're at that age now, when you get to 50, you're going to have a different understanding. Just like me, when I had kinafta, I didn't know what it meant. But now I'm going to be 26 next Friday. And, that's a milestone. And I'm also learning and understanding things and looking at things differently now because I've grown. I understand things now. I talk to people differently. Just like a lot of the people up here, my little figure has talked to me and encouraged me throughout the years that we worked together. So with that, I wanted to say, for coming out and being a part of this movement. It all starts with you. Like my it's you have to be the one to do it. You have to talk about it, you have to see it, and you have to project it out to the community. And he worked in the grazing committee, right? He worked in the grazing committee, so I have that background as well. And even when it comes to farming, when you have farming, you're supposed to be out there before the sun, before it gets too hot. You feed your livestock before you feed yourself. All of these teachings come back to who we are as the people. And with that, I believe we're going to quickly close out with our evening. I just want to thank everyone. I wish you guys a safe travels home with a Jopaxi Hasinayo and many blessings on the Corn Pollen Road. And may you guys have an abundance of happiness, love, and joy. Even to your home, I wish blessings on your homes, your vehicles. And as the summer approaches, stay hydrated, drink a lot of water, stay away from hot. Because even for our bodies, we need to nurture our bodies the right way, encouraging our youth. And that's the biggest thing, like I said, is intergenerational teaching. You bring everyone together to talk about these things no matter what. Do you guys have anything you want to add? I'm so sorry. I'm getting to that age too where I'm just going to keep rambling like Mama Summit. Okay.
Washington, so Kenya. They could do east or south or west, north. There are one nation, Kenya, gets up under the Kadi, take on the Tiki. Nation wants this case, the young person, I see, go out there. Shiprock wants this case, I'm sadly 6 years old. On the way, what's all happening all through this 76 years? I see. I'm net out of the other devastated net. Carrying Kabakaki, Tingy, Upinane, Kabes, only no. This is the current law, which the treaty was engaging in FDA non-government. Those things are within our nation. Politicians are not digital artists, and we are not quite. Kuna two government has over here, Kevin. Kit adopta, si. Especially the part of side. The big later. Adobe, not Tige. Oh, yeah, she that is needed. Your cheat. Answer. Immediately dancing. Benign singing. Let I didn't start a business. The lady was Sweetwater, Náhilna, and storekeeper. Jane Force gave there, Casines, they snow gun in the heads of them. Chicago and go. So they should keep on me in there because you don't. And they help. I see Cordini, business. Carlsford, King is your vacation is your. It's other horse, Negeshki. Then there was a canary, 10 days on Naval Reservation, Indian Reservation. People call you don't need to be born, you don't need to be licensed to do this trade business, livestock business. All you go by is Bill 7. No, just on man. I do it, I said, Kina's no, here, because no, here. If you don't know, you go as only be there in the standard of Kasadafashi, and the investigation did as it know. Oh, you better, yeah. If you think then yes, it's from has only somebody to then engage in directly. Indian can trade anytime, 24 hours. But basically, then, you see, understand we can have this stuff. Understand we can just do it. This is the better, the stronger, the common child, and I'm trying because God did was that's. What over here, I need to engage me, no. So every power what you change to the deep crowd and there's different traffic here, and then yeah, you don't need to be last, you don't need to be bound. So the paragraph deep, which is each crowd, every girl who's Higher transition the old TV the best of the best of Christian relationship, no? The necessity adopt the epic history. I don't know how many long, then he did ask them to change, was some hardish care. Sunande, Sunaka, in the state of Peter. S.P. Jones, you tell. Now, what came from him to others, not double chin. Washington, Libers, and Hiding, that they have no. Captain Washington, package is to Washington, says to don't need that. The end in Havo up net. The net, the neighbor sister call you with cultural heart, the letter came. The sister told her to your heart that you can. No, the Yankee, equal Havo up. There's a color was Sinan. There's under the Nita equal to get in Havo. Sinan Hasti, or Anitzel, Anikatotzi. Evans, this case is that she, you got out, who you just not cut. That business that I have, that's in livestock. She get on that. Kaya does it in the Kanadi jail, you can big loss and you can big bone. Insurance, eat on the hold on. I'm an artist, need that one nation, law enforcement. Die Shekhartabes, Ali Kahanalga, Hundi revise, they wish the Devsani Kanye, a ten. Don't change the data. A ten change at the distinct change, or 8 hours on the Yaka, that's all that. So, I said, instance is it, we still have that business. I think she gets nothing, because Inni, dat is wat je was, die doe je wekken, is niet dat ze dat niet. Wie toch had net en dat als ze deed, law enforcement gaat geen taal over dat. Oh jee, als het goed zijn, ik doe dit. Zeg keetje, dat is je. Wat abans, je weet dat je dat zeker hebt. Although we don't know, see, therefore, just like it is China, the balance of the northern is. As no father census number, father, although social security number. It is still the balance of school, shit out of 45 cover, so now, so little to say. Ik dan als ik ben daar kwijt, had ze die zelfs daar is het. Het zou even beter zijn. Je tijd is dat in het jaar oude. Die zegt someone 65 so total 100. Either in an get, either in need is a what we do. Hey, you want to government brain, no, be nasty. Bar in, honey. No, could the that's government brain. Could the very small one label computer tunnel, she because she done it. Could the bar in because actually give a bit of gun and get it, she oh, had that, on that, in every nation, killer. It don't best name is either. Don't be young, a big headache, a big habit, said, oh, yeah, they don't know yet. If a child will go, I said, I don't pray none, because you know, we say the scheme or in the gymnasium, reservation prayer. 18 nations, it's like you give it up, I'm a monster. But now I just stay praying, when I just get the outward. Between now this state street, they stay praying, they wrote the last, no, church passage, no. I ought to shoot at I'm looking nasty. Oh, she never thought about it. Cut, hey, no. Unquestioned, traction, I hold the permit, I hold my brain. Lifestyle that they need to get brain recently. The last breastfed beef, it has to be processed here and there, too soon. Could you do a little harder than the meat company? So could you quit together? Bill said, one is you don't die, it's a day, Bill said, let me notary that you are notarized, you're not no attend down again, not a get. A carota banana, a shikha, no kashida. The best one's unskin DJ, natural resource, Adriana, sunskin, don't stay, and like that. So, something say, maybe a law enforcement director, just something, or don't know. What I am not saying, naked for me. She because it a really naked. Oh, you naked that, sir. They don't know that. No, it's not obvious of it. How about that? None of the appropriate. Oh, you're not so smooth with that. So the appropriate, don't transfer that yet, and don't hunt data. Oh, you Ado tona ginlaet to the side and the for having the collected which will creep, which
feel like doing that yes. And the best, and we can get $45, and that they get them some monkeys, other than that yes. Could do some people. Yes, and then get the amateur, you get just. Could what Kigo and what they need that. What Kigo and then go ship, just as the guy, it got she can get us to cheat of that way. Was it for those 400 hours? I did check on the Kuya leader. I did Kuya. Could you be cut at the Gisbesanta in? Could you not cross the club? I don't could not back it. None one will realize on the country bubble than nothing. But the RMUs, we get a account, IR10 in RCS government funds. You know, if you have rent, what's the lagging, if you get to go, if it's been done, they just could the watershed network that it's good to have rent. Rich management unit. It will make us want to take Kata. Because you want to use it now, this summer day or later. If Ecuador, the vanishing or the kid, Ecuador's last show, this is a the under a kid, she day, and not only the that is the second Sunday. Over everyone can only show it, those who get home, Sunday get home, need us changing. I see, don't get what I did, she goes to what better. Partially, I got the deep sea. I got the I see, don't you have case with that? But then I we get one time, we can get you there to see. Yeah, that's the shit, so it's not because of President Trump administration, so the sweet and pick up. I don't know in that, then perhaps unable. Even a day can get 4 months, she added, and that was because Ayana Kado, Adeshina, we did this speaker. Unangito, neighborhood, she direction the agency. But not so big, there's a career temper. And has done it. Lunch, as people. What's up? Those for sure, don't get what touching it? Based on our class, the next college, Indian college, different state of another. What up on it? But I did it. I did it. When Senegal also the basic is at Kalasito. Oh, you see again, the Kabota, you see again, other teacher. Majority class in scholars in your nature, but in that color. What she does, the fella. Once this case, President Trump is in civil person administration. Cannot pass with it. There's only constitution attitudes in Nigeria. She had one such a over, the only single. You turn on this one? In Nigeria. Where she was the comparison of this and there's only a who can ask if you see the personality all over the world. It's what's going on. She is at the hospital. It's very important. Shevrinson. Catching for Donana, Kahiko. The was something which is something that is no way everything that ends of that. Never king. That she people in Washington, you're the multi. Shevrinson. Ubinas de Versania, Peso Hada, Hula, she did never. You give it up there for the Muzibe Nadiaski. Check out Bernadesi or Kitio down. Very sorry.
Because I will not
I can't definition to on Hozhò because of that also ado China ado China Roshila ado Shiprock ado China it's okay though Shiprock China. And most importantly, they taught it with a little bit Josephine to did that and she ate Hozhò also. Ado Tneshchi Hamnida Idibe best law. We don't hear other church domination as a call Arkansas and other she's not as though Silly couldn't know us. We get that is me. This begins how they have but it has even nothing they know how. Ako pinina ni ke ya zili ke zili pe ipat zili ni ke as adolish answer ado nakachin ni ona ako tao ya I kill dot so I engage in that in Kailation ko Yati Holation Nasane Niche. A co Iban Yat oh use at all. Nikito a potem Dikan not needy 80 in Kanapil Tabo Yatim is not standardless. Needs in even the AI Dilson. Náhilna go ahead and we have it done. So, we put a nice old kind of ahead.
Yeah.